Stand by for the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up next, Forbidden History Live. What they did want you to know that we tell right here, for as long as we have a voice. Please note that the following views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, YouTube.com, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFG is a private society. Nothing here is ever to be construed as hate, medical, nor legal advice. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time 7 days a week right here on the realpublicradio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way 7 days a week on the realpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network, YouTube.com, as Forbidden History Live, and NinjaCat 111 doing the Forbidden History Chronicles, and our old archives are the Forbidden History Series. 4 words, the Forbidden History Series. Still time to call a friend, ladies and gentlemen. Stand by for the broadcast. You did call your friends? Well, thank you. We need to have a revolution in thinking, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you live from Studio Z at the Lighthouse in Central Ohio and Free America Radio Network in the land of dreams, enchantments, and nightmares. It's Forbidden History Live with your host, Dezert-Owl. It's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. Welcome everyone to the Saturday broadcast. You know why you're here, don't you? Of course, because here is where we bring you the most important information on the face of the entire earth, or under the earth. Here is where each week we bring you the very best in radio broadcast listening, while we reveal the greatest secrets and the deeper mysteries of life. Yet the one question that will always remain will be this: can you handle the truth as it will be presented this afternoon, this evening, tomorrow at dawn, in the future, wherever you are around the world? Stand by for the broadcast. It's Forbidden History Live. Live, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Dezert-Owl. Glad you tuned in. I was trying to get Just Love, but apparently she just stopped in real quick and left. I had a couple of unanswered questions that were left in the chat last time, and I was going to bring that up, but I'll save that for whenever she's back on. And want to welcome all of our new listeners to the broadcast. Hello, Kelly, out there wherever you are in cyberspace, and all of you, Linda, that way, and of course, YoChelleG, our engineer, and Ninja has probably crashed. She'll probably be here in a little bit. I talked to her a few hours ago, and she's going through a lot of stress, and I think we're all feeling that stress today, and it's a tough world, and it's a tough world with people who think they have some natural right to abuse and affect other lives on this planet, and it's rather tragic. So we just have to do the best we can and make lemonade out of the lemons that they've handed us, ladies and gentlemen. And don't forget, later today we have Dane Wigington. His channel is Dane. They took down his geoengineeringwatch.org channel, so he still has one left. It's Dane Wigington, DANE, and then WIGINGTON. 2 words on YouTube. Just do a YouTube search, DaneWigington.com. And they took the U off the tube, and people who care about this world and care about life and care about other people and try to do things that most people of conscience would want to do, they end up being, for some reason, disconnected here, and that's rather tragic. It looks like they just want entertainment. They want people to be entertained. That's it. Sports by Webster's definition, 1828, is diversion. Thank you, Linda. Thank you. And so we're gonna not delay. We missed getting into the rest of chapter 3 yesterday evening because time just got ahead of us. It was late in the evening, and so I didn't want to put off the final chapter 3. I'd rather get it out, then we can do other stuff or take calls, whatever. And hey there, Bobby Jones. Good to have you. And the topic is, we cover a variety of topics actually, but we have our title line down there. You can read the title line, but we cover a wide area. We leave no stone unturned and no turn unstone because our history is a big one, and the game that's been played on Earth is a big one as well. It's this game of life and death, and so we have to make sense out of these things. Okay, so that's what we do here. But before and we have we didn't seem to make it through with our Skype number last night, so we're going to hold on having you call in on Skype. But if you wanted to call in on our regular number, we can put it up to the mic. That's 608-566-7295. 608-566-7295. Okay, and Skype, you want to call in on Skype, that's Forbidden History Live. It's it probably says California out there. That's where our engineer is. Forbidden History Live, okay? And Ninja, there you are. Good to have you. And so, okay, so words. We're going to just do a few words, and then we're going to get into the Farrar Fenton, okay? So words are not what you think, ladies and gentlemen. And that's in a literal sense, not what you think, because somebody has engineered our words for us, and it's not they are not what you think. You see, and that's what we reveal here: the true nature of words. There's been a control of our minds and a control of our literature, a control of our schultres. That's the original word for scriptures, and so we have to hear some things we've never heard before, and to see some things we've never seen before. Okay, and Confucius says, I hear and I forget, but I see. Then I can get the picture. And so we present the symbols. We pull them up on the chat, and we also pull them up on the screen. I've got a couple dictionaries I've produced. We don't even have the money to publish the hard copy, but we do make it available on PDF. We'll tell you how to get that later on. Okay. So in the words, it's interesting that if you study the unseen hand and how the game is being operated, there's an influence that we talk about that originally started out in India, and it's the ancient Aryan Brahmin, which is an abbreviation of the word sovereign. And the ancient Aryan Brahmin are the fallen, basically the fallen watchers. It's the priesthood. The priesthood are the fallen watchers. When they fell, they set up the priesthood system. Crystal, good to have you. And so in the process, then they set up their secret location, which was India, while they then had their front office, which at the time was Meitzar, falsely called Egypt, Meitzar. And it means the mother's star. That's a good name for Egypt, right? Mother's star, that's what it means. It means more than that as well. But so in this grand illusion, and when you watch the movies, you'll see the Hindu influence in the movies. There's always some Dravidic character, dark skin. He looks, Aryan, but he's got dark skin, and they're the high sign for what they're the front, another front for the original character, which is the ancient Aryan that wanted to dominate the world. We got into the legacy of who Adam really is and who the fallen watchers were on the last 10 programs thereabouts. Okay, so just check the archives on the last 10 programs. Okay, and then you'll get up to speed, because our scriptures have been altered on the sacred altar, and therefore they are not original. They are not using correct terminology. We have so many problems that we have to put it all on the table. We have to acknowledge it. We have to not be like the mind controlled sheeple and just say, oh, my preacher wouldn't lie to me, my priest. No, it's easy. It's easy to see the deception and the lies in there, the corruption. Well, I don't know if you want to call it a religious channel. It's about life, Bobby. We cover all different areas, but our spirituality is the key message here, certainly. And so, but anyway, feel free to listen in. If religion turns you off, that's your business. Okay, we're happy to have you here. So Patel, in the Grand Illusion, did you notice how in America that for some reason they got foreigners to run the gas stations, they got foreigners running the hotels and the motels? It's like, what happened to the middle class, Mr. America, and you don't see the Aryan culture, that doing it, but you see they're foreigners. They're from Pakistan, they're from India, right? They're the Islamic Front now are running gas stations all over America. It's rather interesting, isn't it? How'd that happen? Well, it's not by accident. It's by design, ladies and gentlemen. It's by design, okay? And so what's interesting about, like we talked about, Smith and Jones and Johnson, those three names in particular being the subversive names of the ancient, when they had a spy come over to America, then they went by these titles. These were John's son, because John the Baptist is the guy for the Freemasonry. They have John the Baptist Day, St. John the Baptist Day on June 24th. That's when they formed the Grand Lodge in 1717. And so John, therefore, John's son, you see, is a code. Just like Smith and Jones, Smith is Schmidt in German, but he's the one who's hammering the steel. He's the craft. He's working the craft, working for the craft, being very crafty. And so these names have implications. Jones, there is no J in the original alphabet, so it's Yonan. Again, it may be a spin on the word John. Jones is probably Yohanan or Jonathan, but nonetheless, so we just point out that that this is part of the legacy in America, and that we have the manipulation of our society, the manipulation, just like they manipulated Vietnam. It was Ho Chi Minh who who loved America. He loved the American Constitution. Ho Chi Minh wrote to the president over here, whoever it was at the time. I think it may have been Roosevelt, may have been Truman. I can't remember. They ignored his letter. He said he's going to use the U.S. Constitution as his model, and he was all the people in Vietnam loved him. He was a man of peace, okay, not a man of war. And the United States demonized him. He fled north, and America split Vietnam into two to have a war police operation in in the Indonesian waters over there, and so Ho Chi Minh was demonized because he was not a bad guy. They demonized him, and the bad guy was the U.S. and their little puppet dictator ruler in South Vietnam. The truth is stranger than fiction, ladies and gentlemen. It's just amazing, how well, it's not amazing, really. I mean, we know that the world is a beast system. It's a beast, right? Perpetual war. What don't we know? Like how many people that come onto our program here are victims of targeting and mind control and or the fallout from warfare. It's so vast. It's like they create a front. They create a go to Hollywood and the old town. The old Western town is a front, right? And it looks pretty cool on the outside when you walk down the street. But as soon as you look out behind the facade, then you see all this trash back there. That's what America's like. They waved a flag, red, white, and blue, and nobody has any idea of the sinister nature of government. And so what I was leading up to was another code word. The word I had learned that the secret agents that were coming here from Hindustan as the agents of the Indian system, the caste system. It's a caste system. That's a slavery system. But behind it is the Aryan Brahmins because they're the ones who instituted it from the beginning. And so typically you'll find when you go to a hotel, you'll find the guy, his name is Patel. Okay, so Patel is a Hindu code word, just like Smith and Jones and Johnson, Patel. And what's interesting about Patel, when you know about the switch out on the letters, Patel is fatal. Fatal. There's the literal sense. Patel is fatal. But the Fey, you see the word Fey is in there as well at the same time. So, or it may imply the sound of the Fey. Fatal, P-H-A-Y-T-A-L, may imply the sound of the Fey. And they're working for the woman, but the woman is a whore, not a virgin, and that's the Luciferian occult. Okay, so just a little footnote on that word, and you'll see Patel everywhere when you talk to Indians, when you go to their hotels or to the to the gas stations and all that. It's so many. It's just so many of them. It's absolute mind blower. I've got to turn off that air conditioner for a minute. Just stand by, okay? And want to welcome any new listeners out there. We are the RealPublicRadio.net, Free America Radio Network, and we're trying to bring it your way with Forbidden History Live. So give me 10 seconds. Okay, thank you for that. And we're gonna. Okay, I got a couple more words here. I just want to. I'll tell you what. Let's just get right in. We're gonna get words when we do the original thought in Farrar Fenton. So let's go to our Farrar Fenton scriptures. Well, you may not have it, but yet Farrar Fenton is the most important translation of scriptures that came out of modern time, ladies and gentlemen. Fenton said, "I'm not going to read English." That's when he was in college in the 1850s, 1860s. He said, "I'm just going to read the Greek and Hebrew, and then I'm going to do my translation. I don't want to be influenced by politics, by religious dogma, by mistakes, by anything, a conspiracy. I want to see and read it for myself." And then after 40 years of nonstop reading Hebrew and Greek, and that type of literature, then he did this transliteration, and And so it and George Lamsa are the most important, okay? And you can get it from artisanpublishers.com, okay? So we left off in chapter 3 of Ganesha, the correct terminology, original thought for Genesis. Ganesha means the garden of the royal eye, okay? So when we look at nature, we can see clearly it's a garden that was made by a royal eye, royalty. The royal sovereign of the universe made everything that we see, and we're supposed to be royal eyes too, okay? Well, that's because Bobby, in your statement, you think religion has brought so much more evil into this world than it has brought good. Well, that's because man is the problem. It's not religion, okay? It's man. It's man, because the priesthood is always taken over the truth. They infiltrate, they take down, because it's a a world that's dominated by psychopaths and murderers, by people that have self grandiose ideas for power. Power is the ultimate drug, and so they created Islam. The Vatican created Islam. The Vatican is nothing other than a morphed version of the Roman Empire. They knew that it's easier to control people through religion than it is through the political, and so it's a drug. That's the opium, and so that's the problem. Okay, but there is a truth, and the truth is, well, right, God's words are written by a man's hands, but there is a true inspiration that comes to man. Okay. And yeah, that's right. Vatican's a horrible drug. So just listen in, and maybe you'll hear some things that are rather interesting. Because the bottom line is our universe, our world was made by the divine breath. Okay, the spirit, the great spirit. The Native Americans called him the Great Spirit, and he is spirit. Okay, and he brought forth a creation, which is like is nothing other than a three-dimensional matrix. But the one who made all things is the one who reveals all things. And if you didn't make yourself, and therefore, and people want to talk about sovereignty and being sovereign. Well, if you can't keep yourself alive, you're not sovereign. But there is one who holds our life in his hands, and he is the sovereign, and we can be sovereign with the sovereign. And so, and the truth is not a part of any lie. And therefore, we sift through all the lies on this broadcast. So if you listen to some of the back issues, you'll see. Okay, we talk about the political, we talk about history, we cover a lot of ground here. Okay, and but it really comes down to communication in words, because words are the foundation of all of our. Without being able to communicate, we can't build anything. We can't play music. We can't get along with each other. We would be primitive. We would starve to death. We couldn't be organized to help each other. So communication is the foundation. But education, they talk about education. I'll give you one example before we get into the read here. Okay, ED, in contrast with AD for add, like addition, ADD. Ed means to remove. That's what an editor does. He removes things. So when we talk about we had an education, well, that's exactly what we got. We got an education. It's not what they told us. It's what they didn't tell us. The half that they told us was a bunch of garbage anyway, and half truths. But then it's the stuff they didn't tell us about. Our true history, or about the law. They didn't tell us about the law in school. They didn't teach us about the true nature of money in school. That there is no money, or the birth certificate. What that is all about. They didn't. So it's what they removed from our curriculum that we want to hear, and so it's not education that we want. It's enlightenment, ladies and gentlemen. It's enlightenment. We want to be enlightened, and the only one who brings the light. Well, look outside. Okay, it's the star up above, and that star represents the one who made all things. And they've even demonized the sun itself by saying that anybody who talks about the sun or acknowledges it as being the great house of the spirit, is involved in sun worship. Any culture that regarded the sun, like in Persia, the Zoroastrian the culture. They didn't say they were praying to the sun. They said they were praying through the sun because they knew the sun was the great logo that represented the spirit of life. And so it's the same with Native Americans. They said, you people say that we worship the sun and worship the moon. We don't worship the sun. We recognize it's the symbol of the great spirit, you know? And so this is how the prejudice and false teaching comes into our league, our minds, ladies and gentlemen, through the control. You know, the ones who are giving it to us claim to be the benefactors of the light. You know, they want to give you more light while they're mother sons of darkness, which is what Masonic means. You know, so right. Well, if you follow the teachings of Yeshua, Bobby, that's what he taught. Okay, so that, you know, realize that there was one who came to the earth 2,000 years ago, and his tradition was taken over by the Roman Empire, okay, by occultists. So there is still a pure tradition, and we're told to love our enemies, to love those who are in need, to have an eye for seeing, to visit those in prison, the sick, give to the poor. Okay, so that's the tradition we're talking about here. Okay, that's what we're talking about, the true tradition, not Baskin-Robbins, 600 different flavors of Christianity. Okay, it's about what the Great Spirit breathed. Okay, and he breathed that we should love one another. Okay, so in verse 6 in Ganesha, misnomered as Genesis, abbreviated. So the woman, perceiving that and so I read Fenton, and Fenton is already a very unique translation that is vastly different than the King James, ladies and gentlemen. But on top of that, as well as, you know, I transliterate certain of the words, not all of them, but key ones for the sake of discussion and the fact that you can see the deeper meaning of these original thoughts. Okay, so the woman, the woman would be the Aisha Faye. Woman is a modern term, and woman means the judgment of man. And so when it means the judgment of man, literally it means all of creation. We are all in the fall. The judgment is that the first creation is in the lower creation, and we have to come up to the higher creation, become the second born, and also to recognize that the sun represents the primordial original garden. Okay. Okay, Bobby, you're asking a question here, and real quick. Okay, do you remember the empty darkness before you were born? I believe that's what death inevitably is. I believe people realize that it's a huge fear. It's so man is create a religion to cope with that, and I think we should literally live here and now. Well, you know, this is not what you believe or what you think is different than what it is, you know. So if you want to listen, you're welcome to listen. Okay. And otherwise, you know, we're trying to do a discussion here where people are here to hear this presentation. And if you want to listen, you're welcome to listen. Okay. So thank you. And belief, by the way, is Latin. It means to give little credit to something, you know. And okay, well, very good. Then do that. Okay, so the woman, being Aisha Faye, perceiving that the tree was perfect for food, and the tree that she's looking at, remember there are two trees in the garden, and the two trees are the tree of knowledge and the tree of life. The tree of knowledge and the tree of life. And so the tree of knowledge is Adam. If you go back and look at the other broadcasts, then you will see that that we are trees. We are trees in the metaphor. We have a family tree. We have a tree of life. That is the sun, the stars. It's all a tree of life. Okay, and so. So the tree of life is the woman. She's the woman. Okay, the tree of life is the woman, and she represents bringing forth the baby. So that's why
woman means woman, meaning the judgment of man, because woman, it represents creation. And that's why when let me get my remember my point here. When Eve, when Adam fell asleep and he wakes up in this lower garden, he leaves the garden of the atoms, the sun, and he comes down here. Then when he wakes up, he sees his other half. He's a divided creature now. He's no longer androgynous. And so what he says, the first thing he says is, you remember, he named all things. He named all things. And so therefore, because he named all things, he knew everything about our nature, about this earth, about this universe. And so what was the first thing he says? He says, you are a Shaphe. He says, you're a woman, but you are the mother of all living. Okay, the mother of all living. And so he's acknowledging that this female that is standing right before him, naked, represents the sun. You see, and I did that maxim just yesterday. Okay, that which is first is like that which is last. Okay, the first thing is the light. What came last is the woman in this picture, and that which is least is like that which is greatest. And so she represents the sun. The sun represents the female virgin creation. Hiding behind it is the spirit. Okay, hiding behind it is the spirit of life. And so this is why the woman gets the bad rap, because she's carrying the baby for the spirit. But the woman represents material creation. And what we were taught in the story is that matter has to be destroyed. That which has a beginning has an end. Okay? The spirit is perpetual, always was, always will be. And so this is the great mystery that we are contending with here, ladies and gentlemen. And so when she saw the tree, that it was good for food. So what it meant was he was great in knowledge, because that's the food, right? When we're breaking bread, we read together, we're breaking bread, right? We have a discussion together, we're breaking bread. And so when it's saying that he was perfect, not good, but perfect for food, it means for knowledge. And he was appealing. It says beautiful, but we can use a better word, appealing to the eyes, and a tree stimulating to the intellect. Okay, so whether it was talking on a sensual level and then on an intellectual level, because there's more in here. I've got to go back and read it, more later, because there's a lot going on here. When we're talking about bringing something from an ancient tradition, ladies and gentlemen, to a modern, there's a lot that's being lost. And so what we have to do is we have to, continually sift it, continually go back, continually look at it, and realize. But what we got with our King James is about, the most pathetic version of scriptures as there are, and they keep trying to reproduce it in other versions, and the NIV became the ultimate, what do you want to say, bastardization of our scriptures next to the King James. But all of them are in the same boat, because people are following the dogma instead of what Fenton did, which was to see and read it for himself. And Lamsa came over here with the most profound translation of them all, and they wouldn't even publish it for him. And they said, "You let us rewrite it, Lamsa, and we'll do it." Okay, and so he gave him permission to redraft his scriptures, and so it follows in a narrative way along with the King James, but yet they left a lot in there that was Lamsa, and it's priceless. Okay, it is priceless. Even the element of the sun, like in one aspect when it talked about the son of the great Dolafim, it's spelled S-U-N, okay, not S-O-N. S-U-N and S-O-N are the same word, sun. Okay, a sun is a sun. And when we have a boy, we're saying we have a star. We had a sun. Okay. So she's looking at her counterpart. She's now, remember, he's got all the knowledge. He's named everything on earth, and she knows nothing. she's relying on him to tell her the truth, right? And so when she was compelled by him, because what he was, didn't he? Let's back up one verse. I guess I got to do that. But the greater. So okay, here we go. Yeah, that's where we broke it off in the middle. We were having audio problems. But the serpent, which is not the serpent, but is the sharp. Remembering the word off the top of my head, because I looked all these terms up. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, the serpent is the navigator, the star navigator. Answered the woman. And when he posed the question, are we not able to eat of all the things of the garden? But then the star navigator, not serpent, we are the serpent. You can show them the serpent, Shelley, for anybody that's come in new, so they get the picture of who the serpent is. But Adam there was only two people in the story, okay? Only two people, right? Everything was made, everything was perfect, everything was Yaltzar, everything was good. And so there's only two people in the story. Animals don't talk. Snakes don't talk. There's two people. And one of them he's going to the woman. He's talking. So if the woman is being talked to, who's talking to her? But her counterpart, right? His counterpart, the counterpart. And he's saying, didn't the great Elohim say that we could do anything we want to do in this universe? And she said, but there's one thing we're not supposed to do, and that's eat from the forbidden tree, the forbidden fruit from the tree, okay? And okay, so we gotta hang on a minute. Okay, so continuing here, obviously we have an agitator on the program today. That's what that was all about. You'll notice, ladies and gentlemen, and so this is the problem with our world. Somebody wants to come on and talk philosophy, then you find out, what the game is all about, the game that they want to play, And so continuing here, so then he says, no, but you won't die, because she's trusting him. He knows everything, right? He was there from the beginning of the creation of everything on earth. First made. Go back and read it. Okay? And but the Spirit knows that at the time that you eat of it, your eyes will then be opened, and you will be like the great Elohim, acquainted with both good and evil. That is, the good and evil, the prime root is sun and the sun and moon. Okay? They make abstract thoughts. And the abstract is good and evil, but it was sun and moon, and then the aspect of that is the light versus the darkness, yeah. And so, okay, continuing. So the woman, perceiving that the tree was perfect for enlightenment and beautiful for the eyes and stimulating to the intellect, not to mention the hormonal aspects of it, she took some of its fruit and ate it, and gave it some of her husband with her, and he also ate from it. Okay, but in the Septuagint, it didn't say that he ate. It said that he found pleasure. Okay, they're hiding a lot of the truth in the Septuagint. The Septuagint is, discounted. Actually, when you read the introduction to the Septuagint, it actually discounts its own translation and says, well, this is of very little value. And you see they're downplaying it because they know that's where they hit all the key elements in there, the key words, like when we refer to Canaanites in our scriptures, our regular scriptures in the Septuagint, they're not called Canaanites, they're called Phoenicians. Oh, well, there's the connection now. Okay, yeah, the Canaanites. They were also the Philistines. They were the ones that stayed on the land, whereas the Phoenicians were the ones who went off onto the water. So it was one culture. And the Canaanites also for the redhead spotted. They were the redhead spotted, and the ones who had the stain of blood, the seed of Cain. So they made a pretty good group of mariners. Imagine a bunch of redhead spotted getting off a ship, coming at you with swords and knives and berserker battle axes, and it would have to be a pretty frightening thing. So they were the front working for the Aryans at that time. Okay, so continuing here, so she ate it, And so she took and ate, and she gave to her husband, and he found pleasure. That's what he was looking for. He knew also that they could make babies together. That was the bottom line. He knew, because all the other animals, he saw them doing it, He saw them doing it because he was there with Yeshua when Yeshua was making them. He's naming them. So he knew how everything operated. I mean, this knowledge that he had was how they built the Great Pyramid civilizations, right? The Great Pyramid civilizations. And where you can't even put a razor blade between the stones, where they create polygonal shapes, saying let's make this structure as difficult to make as possible. Let's just try to make it as hard as possible. And that's what they did. Absolutely astounding. Okay. Absolutely astounding what the true story. This is the answer with, why Graham Hancock and the other great archaeological journalists, they're all saying it looks like man came on the scene in a moment. He went from primitive to producing technology that we still can't reproduce today. And that's where this knowledge came from. The last, who was made first, before all other things on earth, came last. He came last. And so the Aryan race came last with the knowledge. That's why they were called sun gods, sky gods, seed of the sun. Okay, the perfect quality that Yeshua was going to come down through the Aryan, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, white skin. You see, and so this is the big lie. This is what has been covered from us, ladies and gentlemen, hidden away. You see, and we're the only ones given the correct narrative on this story, and that's why we've got people trying to disrupt our broadcast here, and what people think is irrelevant. Yeshua says he casts down all imaginations, and he is the one who made all things. So the one who made all things is the one who can reveal all things, and he does, ladies and gentlemen. And he wrote a book, by the way. He wrote a library. He wrote a library, and he communicated with all people at all times in all places, not just with Israel, but with Israel, with Israel. He was going to communicate with the rest of the world in the highest forms of metaphor and symbol and allegory, so that that mankind who had been lied to and deceived and educated could get some help and could learn the truth. But certainly the mystery is a big one, and so yeah, and we're conveying the message. It said that the beast system deceived the entire world. Well, that's why all of our translations are bad, ladies and gentlemen, all of them. Okay. So continuing here, and so then what happened? The eyes of both of them were opened. Then they became aware that they were naked. They were snake. They were the serpent. In other words, that's what the term implies, the serpent, that they were no longer spirit. Adam realized that he wasn't just spirit, but he was in a lower form that was experiencing an animal compulsion. An animal compulsion of, in other words, when he knew what to do, what not to do, he said, no, but I got to have this. I got to have this. That's the old thing, right? Why people steal, right? I got to have it. They'll commit murder. They'll lie. They'll do all of those things to deceive and to it's a bad world. That's the serpent, ladies and gentlemen. The serpent is a consumer. He's a consumer of life. And so that's why, of course, on the male sexual organ, that the skin was cut off around the end, what's called circumcision, because it was to point out that the flesh has to be destroyed. It was purely symbolic, and that it means the flesh has to be destroyed so the spirit can live. So we have to dominate the flesh, because what does the flesh want to do? It wants to dominate us. Hey, feed me now. Hey, let's go over here. Give me, let's go have some fun. Let's get stoned. Let's just go to the beach. It's like the serpent wants to go everywhere. But and then they take off all their clothes at the beach, and of course that's acceptable today in modern society. But if you remember, just go look at some old photographs from the 1800s, Atlantic City, 1900. You'll see everybody wearing a shirt. The men are wearing shirts, and the women, are dressed modestly as well. They're all dressed modestly, and that's because from a spiritual standpoint, even though the flesh is beautiful by nature, and it's appealing to a husband and wife, it's not meant to be flaunted publicly, because that is contrary to the spirit and is contrary to the pure tradition. Okay, so be aware that what we have is the breaking down of our society, and everything goes now, right? Everything goes, right? Anything goes. So sure, okay, but that's why the followers of Yeshua are called a separate people. We're separate from the people of the world. We're not, engaging the activities that people perceive to be okay, like Sodom and Gomorrah. That's basically what we have today, and so that's why Lot was pulled out. Lot was pulled out. That's great symbolism, because it means you can be pulled out. Okay, he will pull you out. He knows the problem. Yeshua knows the problem of the flesh versus the spirit, and he's making a way for everybody. Okay, I've got to do one thing. And so just give me one more moment, please, and we'll be right back at it. Glad you tuned in to Forbidden History Live, what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. Okay, thank you for that. And so then the eyes of them were both opened, and they became aware that they were naked. They were the serpent. They were the serpent. And the word serpent is sharfan, and the fan means the power of walking, and so the element of our walking is means power. Fan, Phann, is means power, and the Phoenician, we hear it in the word Phoenician because they rode, right? There's different aspects to that word depending upon how you change vowels. But the Phoenicians could be the Phoenicians, the Phanasians. Well, there's the Phanasians, you see. That's probably the original word, Phanasian. And so it means power. And so our power is in the walking. That's why they also call the leg, the letter L, capital L, is the symbol of the obelisk, the letter L, the straight, and it's for Elohim, or illuminated, meaning the illuminated are walking on two, unlike all other animals that walk on all fours, or our design is a specific design of a higher order. We are foreign to this planet. That we did not evolve here. We were spontaneously generated by Elohim, misnomered as Elohim, and therefore we have to. And these are the things they don't teach in school, of course, and they don't teach it at the pulpit either. They don't talk metaphysics or cosmology. They they just repeat these corrupted scriptures, and and that's what we're left with, ladies and gentlemen. So we have to piece it back together. We have to see deeply into these stories. Okay. Then the eyes of them both were open, and they became aware that they were naked. They accordingly joined fig leaves together and made aprons for themselves. So what was it that they were covering? They were covering their private parts, because it was the private parts that became their carnal knowledge. The carnal knowledge. Okay. And so they knew as like little, as if like little children that they had put their hand in the cookie jar, and so now they're trying to hide it. They're trying to hide it because it was the realization that what they had just experienced, was something of a a phenomena, for lack of a better word, phenomena, into something they had never experienced before, and also that they probably were a little bit confused about the whole idea at the same time, maybe. It's hard to say, because Eve was clearly like a child, and yet even though Adam, I think what Adam's problem was his conscience. I think his conscience was what now got him. He realized he messed up. He realized that, he disobeyed the great Elohim, who is Yeshua, and so therefore they're trying to cover it now. And so at verse 8, then they heard the sound of of Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, walking in the garden and in the cool of the day, meaning right at sunrise, because that's what represents Yeshua, is the sunrise. And the Ashan and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, among the trees of the garden. So now they're hiding. They're hiding because they know they've done wrong, and they know also they're naked, because Yeshua, is probably wearing a white robe, a white garment, and they're naked. And so they're covering themselves as well now. But the Yahweh called out to them and saying, "Where are you?" And then he replied, to the Adam, to the Ashan. See, it says man. Man is the corruption. Man, it means criminal and sinner in Old English, and also is worse in the Babylonian Talmud. So he would have said he called to the Ashan, or he called to the Adam, which implies then his creation, saying, "Where are you?" And he replied, I heard the sound of your sound walking in the garden, and perceived that I was naked, so I hid myself. And he asked, Who told you that you were the serpent? And have you eaten from the center of the tree that I commanded you not to participate in? It says eat, but eat means the action of doing something. And the Ashan replied, "The woman who you gave to me, she did it." She's pointing at her. She gave of the tree, and I did eat. Right? But he lied to her. He didn't say that. He lied to her. And why did you do that? And then the Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, asked the woman, the Ashaphe. And the woman answered and said, "This star navigator, this guy right here, deceived me, and that's why I ate from the tree." You see, isn't that the problem with man and woman all along? Now, ladies and gentlemen, each of us are pointing at each other, right? Hey, Art Alexander, good to have you. Right? We're pointing the finger at each other and blaming each other. I mean, man and woman are two different animals, aren't they? And they're so different in psyche and makeup. And then we hear in the first story that he's pointing at her, blaming her when he lied to her, and so she's pointing back at him and saying, "Hey, this star navigator, this guy who's supposed to know everything, he lied to me. He lied to me." You see, that's the drama here. That's the story. That's the story. And the Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, accordingly said to the star navigator, which is falsely the serpent, "Because you have done this, you will be accursed more above all the cattle, more than the wild beasts of the fields, and you will crawl upon your belly and eat from the dust of the earth all the days of your life." So what he's cursing the flesh. Okay? Let me ask you something. Do you have to eat the dust of the earth every day? Of course you do. You've got to eat the minerals and the salts and the produce of the earth. You've got to eat that dirt every day in order to live. See, the serpent is cursed. That's a curse, right? In other words, Yeshua, he's nonstop. He doesn't have to eat anything. He keeps on going. He's perpetual. All power was given unto him in heaven and in the cosmos. He don't have to keep going back to a table and keep eating food. But we if we don't eat, we die. And that's our physical nature. But yet within us is a fountain that can bring forth the fresh spring of water where we could never be thirsty again. You see, of the spiritual life. And this is the duality, and this is the conflict. You see, they fell victim to the animal compulsion, and they'll even lie, to engage in this planet. And that's what we see everybody doing. They're all lying. It's all lies. That's what we're trying to do, is unravel the great lies that they fed us. And so the Yahweh. And so, okay, let me see where I left off here. And so the serpent is, okay, and you're cursed above all the cattle of the field. So we're cursed above all the cattle of the field. They're filling their role in nature. They fulfill their role. But we're against nature. We're antithetical. Look at what we've done to the planet. Look at what we've done. Aren't we cursed? I mean, the animals didn't destroy the ozone layer. They're not poisoning the environment. Every time they see man, what do? They run. They see us coming and they run. They're smart, you know. Don't forget Dane Wigington. You want to know how bad it is? Go watch Dane Wigington about 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern time today, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? 4 or 5 p.m. Today, and you'll see they've destroyed our world. They destroyed the ozone layer. Continuing here. So we're eating dust all the days of our life, which is really our death, because we're in the state of death till we become the second born, and then we rise from the dead for the first time, and it's the age of the second born. That's why, because the first one was born in darkness and deception, and now we have to be set free, ladies and gentlemen, and become the second born. And then verse 15, I will also cause the antagonism between you and the woman. Well, ain't that the case? Antagonism, and between your progeny and her progeny, and he will and you must crush his head, and you will be biting at his heels. This is one of the words. You know, all these translations are really bad. You know, but basically what it means is that we have to crush the serpent between beneath our feet, because the serpent is biting at our heels. You see, whether we want to call it male or female, well, the female, the serpent is matter. Serpent, everything is serpent, right? Everything spins, whether it's the atom or the sun or the planets or the oceans or the air currents or nature, the plants, your circulatory system. Everything is the serpent. The tornado, everything is spinning. You see, everything is the serpent. And Linda, I hope that's helping you out a little bit to realize that everything's serpent. That's why you were affected by serpents a long time ago, because they're playing on the game. They're playing the game. They just like the certain pant. Put the certain pant up, Shelley. Right? All the secret societies know the truth that we're the serpent, because every day, as they define all things for us now, they've changed the words and the meaning of things. They got us every day putting on the serpent. We put on the serpent every day, and we never got the picture that we are the serpent. The serpent is the flesh. The snake, what we call the snake, merely represents us. You see, it represents us. A helpless, pitiful, helpless little creature, afraid, always running from fear, So, tell you what, Shelley, let's go to our first musical break if we could, and then we'll pick it up at this next juncture, okay? And what he said to the woman, okay? Yeah, woman gets a bad rap, but we're all in the fall, ladies and gentlemen. We're all in it together. We need each other. And so let's make lemonade out of lemons, make sense out of all this, okay? And glad you're tuned in right here to Forbidden History Live, what they didn't want you to know. But we're going to tell it anyway. So I'm Dezert-Owl. Glad you tuned in. Hope you're time to call your friends right now, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
How can I contain this anguish and this pain, knowing Yes, your eyes are blinded by the lies. Yes, your eyes are blinded by the lies. Every time I think about the damage that's been done, the anger wells inside me till I'm almost overcome. I want to tear the moon out of the sky and drop the sun. Why do I feel so all alone, like I'm the only one? Even though your eyes are open, they may never ever see. Your mind may never comprehend this sinful subtlety. Your heart may never hunger for the truth that sets you free. Your soul may know the darkness of divine eternity. Like petty thieves who plunder in the shadows of the night, they break inside and enter through the windows of your mind. How can I control this poisoning of the soul? These lies that blind your eyes, blinded by the lies. Have your eyes been blinded by the lies? Have your eyes been blinded by the lies? Yes, your eyes are blinded by the lies. Yes, your eyes are blinded by the lies. Your mind has been made up for you by people you don't know, whose thought machine controls the scene so well it doesn't show. How can I contain this anguish and this pain, knowing that your eyes are blinded by the lies? Have your eyes been blinded by the lies? Have your eyes been blinded by the lies? Yes, your eyes are blinded by the lies. Yes, your eyes are blinded by the lies. Have your eyes been blinded by the lies? Yes, your eyes are blinded by the lies.
Now we can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is the very real prospect of a new world order.
The New World Order does not mean surrendering our national sovereignty or forfeiting our interests.
Yeah, and I'd like to know what interests those are, George Bush, that's for sure. Their interests are not our interests, I think, if we get to the brass tacks of things. Their interest was deception, murder, world domination, ritual occult sessions, and and you know, it's interesting to have to ultimately have learned that George Bush's wife, Barbara Bush, was the daughter of Aleister Crowley, the most evil man, touted as the most evil man in the world, right? Doesn't it fit Mr. Brotherhood of Death, Skull and Bones, and Aleister Crowley's daughter? I mean, what a match, huh? Match made in dirt, right? Made in the grave. Wow. They had to rise out of a coffin, of course. You know that, right? That's their born again. Their second born ritual. Yeah. I don't want to even go. I don't want to go any further with that because I'll get off on a tangent here. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you've got a problem, and the problem is you're a serpent, and you have to come to terms with the nature of things, and that there are two of you, and one of you is spirit, and one of you is the illusion, and the illusion wants to dominate. It wants to run the show. That was the temptation of Yeshua in the wilderness, right? Saying the serpent says, "Hey, don't you know that you could capture the world? That you could look at all these great civilizations of the world. You can lock in on the shop. You could take over, babe." You know, and he said, "Get away from me, you serpent." You know, ego. Where the eye goes, the serpent goes where the eye goes. Where the eye's looking, he says, "Hey, I like that. I'm going over there. I'm going to want some of that. Want some of that." Yeah. And then he's starving the serpent to death, right? The serpent is, come on, man, I'm starving. Come on, feed me. Hey, come on, you know you can take those stones over there and make bread. Come on, feed me. I can't take it anymore. He's starving the parasite. He's starving it, proving out that he's the master. His spirit is master over the flesh. And then he uses the scripture and says, man does not live by bread alone, but by every Eshavor that comes out of the mouth of the Father of light. And then what does it say? It says that in the corrupted version, it says angels came to minister to him, but the word angel was never in our scriptures. It was Malach, Malachim. And it was the royal Malach, actually, the royal Malach, correctly. And the royal Malach are the royal messengers. And who is the royal Malach but the royal family? And his mother and his cousins and his family came and found him starved to death, on the edge of death, with vultures flying overhead and animals. It even says in one of the Gospels, and he was surrounded by wild beasts. They were getting ready to eat him. He starved himself, the ultimate disciplinarian. He bathed himself in the Jordan every day to absorb water, never drank water, but used a long trailing gourd and could pour colon in his colon by leaning up against a tree. You find out when you read the Essenes Gospel, which they hid from us. Okay, so yeah, he didn't drink water, but he had to get water because he was flesh and blood. And he got water by bathing in the Jordan River all day long. And then when he put water in his colon, he held it in there and prayed, and all the toxins came out of his body. Then he released it, and he probably did that several times a day. So it was to meet a test, because he ultimately was going to meet the ultimate test, wasn't he? To be condemned and nailed to a tree, right? And to quote scripture at the same time when he's up there. So tell me he wasn't having to be the ultimate disciplinarian. There's so much more to that story that we've talked about, and it's an amazing, he's the greatest, right? I mean, come on, the one who made all things showed us the ultimate perfection of character and creation. When people just love being scumbags, they really prefer that, Yeah, they love causing trouble for other people. That's their whole purpose for living, is creating problems for others, And so an amazing world, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, right? Smith and Jones. Yeah. So but to the woman he said, this is verse 16 now, you will increase your sorrow and your joys. Interesting that it's got the duality. And pleasures. Well, see, I have my note here. When it said joys, it's very likely that it's pleasures. You will increase your sorrows, and it's not and your joys. I can see it now. It's because of your pleasures. Because of your pleasures. That is it. I'm seeing it for the first time. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. I can't get over it. Let me take my note. Because of pleasures. Yeah. Wow. I can't get over. That's the problem, you see, because it's unending, isn't it? Absolutely unending, ladies and gentlemen. And because the serpent wants this, the serpent wants that, the serpent, and that's what the that's how it all began when the Watchers fell. They saw those really cute redhead spotted women, with no clothing on and all dressed up with, in different attire. And then they say, hey, I think we can get a few of those. Let's walk down and take some of that, And so they left their first estate, and they mated with the children of Cain, the Aryans with the redhead spotted. And what's interesting is when we see these giants, so something happened in the curse, and when they mated, that's when we got these giants. And the giants that were found all over the world, the ones that we have photographs of in China, in South America, in the peat bogs in Florida, in different places. I've seen probably a dozen different from a dozen different areas around the world. And classically, the giants had red hair. And those that were mummified or found in peat bogs had white skin. They were Aryan. Okay, so there was something going on. It must have been the curse that ultimately fell upon them, and they bred giants. And So we weren't there, and we don't have any direct written account that explains it in detail. So we're always at a loss for that. But no doubt there was a crossbreeding between the Aryan, and that's what the story is that we get out of the scriptures. But yet they changed that narrative, not to the Aryans that came down to mated with the children of Cain, who are Celtics, redhead spotted. They don't ever nobody gives us this narrative, and it's the explanation behind all these giants. But so that's the legacy that we've been denied, basically, ladies and gentlemen. I was going somewhere, and it just went right out the gate. So anyway, so let's continue here. So the woman, he said in verse 16, I will increase your sorrow and because of your pleasures, and you will give birth to seed with pain. But your love will be for your husband, your housebond, and he will rule over you. Okay. And rule, I think, is probably not the proper word. The word would most likely be dominate over you, because the ruling thing is more like, sounds like it's regal or something, dealing with, but it is, let me take a note here, dominate. Oh, here I have in my note, be above. Okay, be above is the same implication of dominate. How can he do that? Well, of course, he's bigger and stronger. Obviously, the bigger and stronger naturally is dominant. But from the authority standpoint, as well, in other words, the narrative with Adam and Eve, Hadam and Keva, more properly, it's not. In other words, they were already in the fall. Okay. It was already pre-designed that they were going to do what they did, because they had the hormones. They were naked. He knew in his head, oh wow, we can create a civilization. We could be creators like the great Elohim. We could have babies. And what's the next thing that happened, by the way? Oh, they had a baby. Yeah, that's the next thing that happened. You see in the story, and so the point is that the woman represents creation and man represents the spirit, and therefore as man representing the father of light, then when creation is coming forth, when the spirit is making creation, it is a lower creation, right? It's lower than the spirit, and so that which is someone creates something or someone creates has to be lower than. You can't create something greater than yourself. You can only create something lower or smaller, lesser than yourself, you see, and that's why the woman is smaller and weaker. Okay, but of course, then she gets the bad rap, and woman is demonized, and all of these things have happened throughout history. And realize it's just a symbol, but the guy was a jerk. Okay, he deceived her. He lied to her. So what do you think, right? And so. The story, it creates a picture. It creates a drama. They were already in the fall. They were in the lower garden. He fell asleep. That's what it meant when he fell asleep and came out of the throne of the sun, out of the atom falsely called Eden. And so he wakes up, and he's like waking up from a dream, and he's saying, wow, look at my new suit. Look at this. I'm looking pretty good. He's got a new suit, a new serpent suit, no clothing on. And then, the rest is history, as they say, and it's forbidden history, and that's what we're talking about right here. So, okay, so that he will dominate you, your husband will dominate you. And then to Adam, the creation, he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife. That's really funny, because she was listening to him, you see? And so because you have listened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, saying, eat not of it, I will set the ground apart for your cultivation. In sorrow you will eat from it every day of your life. It will grow thorns and briars for you. Okay, but and so the thorns and the briars doesn't mean sticker bushes. It's talking about our lives. Our lives are bringing forth sticker bushes, right? Like the crown of thorns on Yeshua's head. What does the crown of thorns represent? The crown of thorns represents the mental anguish that many of us are going through right now or have gone through. You know, it's the mental anguish, the crown of thorns. And yet the irony behind the crown of thorn bush is that it bears a sweet red fruit every year. You know, so what it's telling you is that that what you may be going through right now may seem unbearable, and with the inability to cope. But if you just hang in there long enough, just hang in there, knowing the truth, knowing that your sun does rise, the sun does come up over the horizon every day. You never question whether the sun will rise. You know your Redeemer lives, and what was once a crown of thorns upon your head will turn into the sweetest red fruit you ever ate. You see, and that's what you got to hold on to, that truth, that knowing, the absolute, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so the thorns then are what happened when we plow the field, when we make love and we have babies. We want them to, you know, be perfect. We want them to grow up and everybody be happy, right? What happens? We brought forth thorns and thistles, right? We brought problems, family against family, right? You know, all the bad things that happen in families that we didn't expect. We were hoping for the best in nature, and then we ended up with broken families and heartaches and pain and the pricks of the sting of death, right? Yeah, that's right. So okay, so then eat not, and the ground apart. He sets the ground apart for cultivation and sorrow. You will eat of it every day of your life. That's right. We're in grief, right, ladies and gentlemen. We're all grieving for our world, and we're all surviving a bad deal, the bad deal we've been handed. It shall grow thorns and briars for you, but you will have the plants of the field for food, and the herbs. It would have said the herbs of the field, but the ebb of the field. The ebb it's referring to what is revealed to us in the great mystery. The ebb and the flow. You see, the herb is ebb. The H is the herb, and the R is the royal symbol. Take it out and you get the ebb. Or we could say the royal ebb. Herb is the royal ebb, right? Because herbs are healing. Herbs are medicinal. Herbs are strong food. And so the royal ebb is still moving. And therefore, nature is speaking about the truth. Just like the sun is pointing the way back. Even though the projections of rays of light come out, it is pointing the way back, okay? And so it's points in both directions, you see? Points in every direction, and in every direction means also pointing back to itself. So let me back up here. And for the from the field for knowledge. So it said when the herbs of the field for food. Remember again, food is knowledge. So the herbs of the ebb of the field will be for knowledge. There's your promised land, right? The land, what did it mean? The land flowing with milk and honey. The milk is what introduces you to the higher knowledge. The honey is the sweetness of the interpretation when you finally get the picture. Just like you now know that you are the serpent, how sweet it is and how bitter at the same time to realize that your own makeup is the enemy, you know, that ultimately you're fighting against, the lower creation for the higher creation, the spirit inside, you know. And so there's a transformation that occurs. It's beautiful. Yeshua says, whosoever the seed of the Son will set free will be free indeed. And so we have to keep moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, and there is a victory of light to be had. Okay. So 19, in the sweat of your brow, you will eat bread. Okay, in the sweat of your brow you will eat bread. Interesting that the word bread, you see the word reed, dominated by the word reed. Okay, and so but the B would be a V, and so the V red, and that's why we go back to Meitzar. I had the word here actually. Let me go there now, and I'll refer to that word because this is a good place here. You see, they changed their words, and it wouldn't really be the word bread. What it would be is the word Meitzar. Okay. And so, or as they say in another abbreviated term, the matzah, and name is a corporation according to Black's Law, fourth edition. Name is in the mud. Name is at the bottom. We want title, and that's why we say royal title of Yeshua, and we don't say the name of Yeshua. We say the royal title that way. Thank you. And so so matzah, but matzah is an abbreviation of Metzar. And so Metzar is the mother star. And so what it means is that you shall eat the royal star. From the sweat of your brow, you shall eat from the royal star. Oh, well, that's what he meant then when you were sweating, right? Because you're out there in the sun plowing the field, and from the sweat of your brow, you shall eat the food of the royal star, right? You plow in the heat of the day in the sun. And, so there's a duality in this expression once we realize what it means. And it is the mother's eye and food of the cosmos. So when you eat the Metzar, you're consuming everything. It means you're supposed to read everything, because everything in nature is speaking. There's pictures up in the sky at night, a Big Dipper, a Little Dipper, a pyramid. The first letter they called Taurus, but it's really, the pyramid. And Orion's pointing his bow and arrow at it, And so we're supposed to read that. It's a story of life that's been handed to us, that we were not left empty, but we're given a book that we are to read, the perfect book. We have no original, but there's two perfect books. One is what has been handed to us through the Great Spirit, and that is nature, the cosmos up above and nature down here below. But then we have another book that if we learn how to use it, it will all open up. And the book is the mind. But we have to learn how to use the mind, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? We have to learn how to see things clearly. Haven't we all been tricked by our mind? Right? We wanted to kick ourselves when we thought we knew something, and then we found out how stupid we were. And then we learned not to talk anymore. We said, I'm not putting my foot in my mouth anymore, and so it's a great mystery, and we have to remember, these are modern scriptures that have been corrupted. We don't have the originals, and we're not even there. We would have to be there to appreciate how different they must have been back then, but we can see into it. We're getting close, okay? Without question, what I'm presenting for you in the Indo-Germanic is far superior to anything else that is out there. Absolutely, because the Hebrew, which is Yiddish, and run by pseudo-Israelis who are really Khazar Jews, and then we've got the Greek, also controlled by the priesthood, secret societies. Even ta biblos means reverse book. That's what they call the Bible in Greek. Ta biblos, it means reverse book. And so we see how they've done the reversals, And so, so it's really it's an amazing deal, ladies and gentlemen. What we've been handed, and we're suffering for it today. We suffer because of our lack of knowledge, because nobody is telling it to us straight. Okay, we go further back than anybody on the planet right here. It has to be true, because I've been looking for all these years. I've been willing to stand alone with the truth, be a separate people, and not go join those phony preachers and phony congregations, the con. Word of con is when the real word is gregation. In Webster's 1828, a gathering of people for spiritual pursuit is called a gregation. And yet now they give us a congregation. It's a con. Benny Hinn all the way. Yeah, got to love the guy, right? Give me a break. A shoe salesman, Monty Hall from Let's Make a Deal went and made him an offer. And that's a true story. Okay, that's what Monty Hall represented. He's one of those illuminated, right? Always making a deal. Let's make a deal. Can we make a deal? Hey, how about you become famous and rich and you just do what we tell you to do? Hey, well, that's a pretty good idea. I think I might want to consider that. No, thank you. I love my suffrage. Okay, I love being alone. If I have to be alone, I'd rather be alone with the truth. Okay, and there is no Mercedes-Benz or no private jet. No, that's okay. That's okay. Not even an automobile, but that's okay also. Because it was a trade-off. And look what I got. Yeshua says, you take two steps towards him, he'll take 2 steps towards you. And so I know for all my sacrifice that he has not left me empty, ladies and gentlemen. You can see it. Okay, has not. It's been hard times. It's a painful journey to go it alone and to suffer persecution and the contrary nature of people being demonized, because you got a funny name, and more so by people who call themselves Christians than by anybody else. They're the first ones to demonize you when you're not the Fred Smith or what I'm saying, John Doe normal like them. That's normal, okay? That's Abby normal, I think, right? I don't know. So it's just amazing, when tolerance was always supposed to be there for all people. Tolerance, right? To be kind to the drunkard in the back alley, with his bottle in his hand, to treat him with respect too, even if he don't deserve respect. But remember, you don't know his history, you don't know his story, you don't know what happened to him. Everybody needs a hand up, help. Okay, love our enemies. If we supposed to love our enemies, how much more shouldn't we love the drunkard, or to love those who are trying to plow the field, even if maybe they're plowing it in the wrong direction? Maybe we can steer them right. Could happen. So we're getting down to I'm pacing myself here. I don't know. I'm getting old, and I'm just tired of it. All the environment is wearing me down, and let me see where I'm at here, and I might just find one more stopping point. We may go to another break. In the sweat of your brow, you shall eat the Meitzar, and the Metzoroth. The Metzoroth is the zodiac itself that spins around every 26,000 years. The Mazzaroth. It's the Mazzaroth. The row. You hear the row, right? You're rowing, going round, going row. Cairo, the Cairo. That's Cairo, right? That's all those are forms of the same word. And you return to the ground. You will return to the ground from which you were taken. Okay, that flesh and blood. For dust you are, and to the dust you shall return. Well, wait a minute. Adam is still spirit. So you see what is being cursed? His spirit wasn't being cursed. His flesh was being cursed. The serpent was being cursed. To the dust you will return, serpent. Okay, but the spirit is eternal, you see, and we know that just like our serpent had a beginning. I mean, we even when we were the sporum, right? The sporum is a little squiggly serpent, right? He's going into the woman, and he's working his way up the canal and looking for the egg, right? And that's a serpent. We were a serpent when we came into this world. We were so little. Boy, talk about a journey, huh? Yeah. And you're the only one that made it out of the millions and millions and millions that died along the way. How many times, How many millions? And you're 1 in a million, maybe 1 in a billion, maybe 1 in a billion. That's how rare all of our lives are, because we already went on a fantastic journey and we never even stopped to consider it. And now we have to go on one more fantastic journey, and the same number will be similar, that only a few are going to make it, ladies and gentlemen, only a few, because the deception is so great. The deception is so great. Okay? And so I'm going to stop. This is a good stopping point on verse 20. So let's go to another break, Shelley, and you are tuned in right here to Forbidden History Live, what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. And I'm your host, Dezert-Owl. Glad you're tuned in. Hope you are telling your friends. Let's have a revolution in thinking and be set free, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Don't go away. I'll be right back.
One morning I woke up and I knew it was gone. A new day, a new way, and new eyes to see along. Go your way, I'll go mine, kept on. The sky is clearing and the night is brightening up. The sun, he come
This next song that I'm going to play is about one of these pop festivals that they've been having around the world lately. It's one that I didn't really get to go to. I'd been playing the night before in Chicago with a band, friends of mine, Crosby, Stills, Nash, Young, etc., etc. And it was their first professional appearance, and we were all kind of excited about it. And the next night we were supposed to all play in Woodstock, and I had to do a TV show the next day, so I kind of got left behind because they were having problems getting people in and getting them back out again and everything. So I stayed home in New York and I watched it on television all day and saw everybody there playing and singing, and it was really a nice festival, I guess, and from the looks of everything. And well, I wrote a little song for my friends to sing and for myself to sing as well, and it's called Woodstock. It goes like this.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the broadcast. And yeah, what a different version of Woodstock by the one who wrote it, right? And then these profound words: "We are stardust, we are golden, we are stardust, we are billion-year-old carbon, and we've got to get back to the garden." Yeah, and that's what we're attempting to do, actually, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I love that song. When the rockers play it, we never hear all these words, and she brings them out so beautifully. And yeah, we have to get back to the garden. And there's two gardens. See, that's part of the great mystery, ladies and gentlemen. There are two gardens, okay? And that's when it really, the lightning struck for me when I saw that it said that YoChelleG took Adam out of Eden and placed him in the garden. And it's like, wait a minute, what? How did I miss this? Wait a minute. And then I took a closer look at it, and there it is, So out of what garden? The primordial garden is the light. Came out of the light and into this lower garden of darkness. This is not a place of darkness and destruction and death, perpetual war. Remember the words, flower means the flow of war. They love it. It smells so good. Flower, flow of war, flow war, flower. And, and what's that other word? The gay noon is the cannon, gay noon, the garden at high noon. Yeah, that's the big gun. Yeah, the garden at high noon, the gay noon, the garden. Okay? Gan is garden. Gain is the primitive Indo-Germanic. It's the garden. So we have to see things with new eyes, ladies and gentlemen. We're not going to we have to get off the merry-go-round of the deception of what is not true, what is not correct, what is not complete, what is misleading. Okay, it's a deeper study than just we think we're going to pick up the book and then we got instant salvation. Now I know the scriptures, don't have to read them now. I got it. I got my what do they call that that paper the Vatican was giving out, right? I got my indulgence. Okay, I can do anything I want now. I got my indulgence, and therefore I paid good money for it. Yeah, good money. Money doesn't exist. That's a pretty good one. Money isn't real, and it's all an illusion. And so we have to hear some things, ladies and gentlemen, and we have to consider the possibilities. And that's why I say, I don't want to just compare apples and oranges. I want apples, oranges, plums, peaches, pears, prunes. You put it all on the table, okay? I want to see all of it because I don't want nobody changing my eshavors, my words, and giving me Lord God when it should be YoChelleG, who is the great Ulufame. You hear a little, you think maybe that is closer to the Indo-Germanic, right? Lord God, God is the Pope, and Lord is the mother who gives us our bread, and that's Middle English, so Lord, and there's a mystery behind that word. I've gone into it before, and ladies and gentlemen, we've got to become scholars. We have to learn how to read because we never were taught how to read. That's why they put on the top of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, go spell, gospel, go spell. Oh, go spell, fool! You can't spell, and So we've really been tricked, ladies and gentlemen. It said the beast system deceived the entire world. So it makes sense that we just are just like this little pocket that have received a revelation, from the great spirit of light, from the sun, from the throne of the sun. A ray of light has come down and is enlightening all of our minds into something that we never could see before, And what they have no magic spell. The magic spell is the fact that they tricked you, that they have no supernatural power. It was just simply the trickery of the illusion until finally you then got the picture, and then you could see and read it for yourself, and you could be set free from the delusions of their very diabolical control of our scriptures and control of our eshavors, the words, done outside the Vatican at a place called the College of Abbreviators, run by the Jesuit Curii, where they abbreviated all of our words. I'd been saying it for 25 years then before I got the book, The Vatican Archives, and there they mention it right in there. The lady who wrote the book says, yeah, they've engineered our words outside the Vatican at a place called the College of Abbreviators, right in our face, just like they say, go spell, gospel, abbreviators, college of abbreviators. I mean, they put it right in our face because they know we'll never get it. Just like they put the most important alphabet that was breathed into Haddam right on our driver's license here in America. The all capital letters, misnomered as the Phoenician alphabet, but it predates the Phoenician. Those capital letters are the original Sanskrit that you could write in the sand. Not what is pseudo-Sanskrit now in India today. That's the switch out. So that way you never get the picture. See, right in our face. Right in our face. They know that we'll never figure it out because this scheme has been so well engineered. They control the They control the publishing houses. They control the media, the news, the entertainment, the movies. They control the political state. They own Washington. The Federal Reserve is the head, and the Washington D.C. is the tail, the puppy. You know, and I'm getting a notice here from Ninja. Okay, Ninja, what is this? I'm waiting for you to finish your diatribe, your read, before I can call in, unless you say otherwise. Okay, Ninja, I'm on a roll here. I'll take a break. We're up right at the end. We'll play this out a little more before we do the final read in here. Come up, give me a call. I know you're up late. Ninja's like at she's about 4 a.m. over there right now in Australia. So come on down. I don't want to hold you up in case you want to go pass out or just lay down and listen. Okay, so come on, give me a call. And so yeah, we're Ninja is NinjaCat 111, and she's got she does an interview twice a week with me on Mondays and Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern time here in the U.S., ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and she saved me when my computer went down. I get attacked about once a year by the local Masonic order here in town, and they've hacked into my computer. They've stole my computer when I was getting it repaired. Then I figured it out, and then so Ninja came to the rescue, the NinjaCat, and she's had it tough. She's targeted, and she was a sky watcher, and went ahead and called the airport's control tower and told them she saw UFOs up there, and then they were after her at that point. They said, okay, we got a loose one. We've got one that can see, and so they, that's what basically happens to us when we wake up, right? Either we woke up because it was the gun issue, or it was education, we wanted to homeschool, or it was the vaccines, right, or the healthcare, all these different things that we finally got bit. We got bit by the serpent, and then we said, wait a minute, what's going on here? They talked about freedom and here to serve and protect and all this other stuff, and now they're coming to kill me. What's going on? What planet am I on? Somebody please smack me upside the head. I want to wake up now. Okay, this is a nightmare, what they've given to us. And we do take calls here, ladies and gentlemen. We'll open it up. We'll take Ninja now, and then after I finish the last 5 verses to chapter 3 of Ganesha, abbreviated as Genesis, then we'll open the line if anybody else wants to call in. Love to hear from you.
Stand by. She's calling.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Ninja.
G'day.
Good day.
Are we interrupting Desert?
No, I told them you're coming. Hold on. Stand by.
Okay.
G'day. Gotta love it.
You're spraying right now? NJ, what's that spraying all about?
We're here.
I'm correcting. I'm sorry. I just had coffee. Hang on.
Yeah. Well, you're going to run it. That excuse is going to get old after. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, you were echoing in my phone. I had to turn it down.
Okay. Are we good? Are we good now? Testing.
Yeah,
1, 2,
we're
3.
good.
All right.
I called the control tower to let them know that I could see 5 planes in a row going across the sky, leaving trails.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Well, I couldn't. Forgive me. I got the story wrong. I think it hardly matters. You could have done either one, and they would be after you.
Yeah, because they were after me before that. Anyway, that just encouraged them more. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what's down under?
Not much. It's dark because it's nighttime. It's cold.
Okay.
Yeah. And the world is coming to an end. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's basically over. It's just we're waiting for that proverbial fat lady to sing, right? Because we know that it's already over. They destroyed our world. You can't bring back the ozone layer. They've destroyed the sea plankton. The sea plankton is needed in order to create the sea plankton creates more oxygen than trees, and the sea plankton also creates the weather systems and creates clouds. And they've killed the plankton in the ocean, and now we've got all kinds of anomalies occurring in the ocean now. Dead zones. It's over. It's over. It's just a matter of the next 2 years, but within 2 years we're going to see global starvation. That's when the roundups will happen. That's when the mass genocide will be occurring. Because when the food runs out, guess who's not going to want to give up their food? And that's the controllers.
Yeah, you know what?
What?
Last year, I was saying in I don't know, in general discussions, that when it goes really bad, Australia is the safest place to be because we're down under. We're away from everything. Australia's the safest place. We've got a whole stack of land in the middle, so we can get away from the coastlines. Anyway, I saw something on YouTube. I don't know if it's true. I just saw the title in my notifications. The elites are running to Australia. I don't know if it's true. Have you heard anything about that?
Well, I think they're running to the tip of South America, and to New Zealand, and to probably Australia, because they got their underground bases there as well.
Yeah.
It's certainly wherever you can get away from the crowd, it's a better place to be, because the crowd are going to be preying upon each other, and the thugs, the toughs, the punks, they're going to be raping and pillaging and killing to get the food, all the food they can get. It's going to be mob rule, and it's the gangs. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I wanted to share my story that I was talking with you about before, but I don't know. I'm very nervous. I've shared a lot during these live calls, and I've shared a lot on the Forbidden History Chronicles, and suddenly I'm very nervous. Yeah.
Okay, do you want me to start by the elaboration? You want me to
maybe I just
what triggered it? Because what Linda brought on.
Yeah.
Linda brought on a story of her story last night. We read it, her email, and then and then you called me today about 4 hours ago, and you said that you actually had your memories triggered by what she was talking about in her letter, what happened to her, and then and now you go back to when you were 5 years old, and you realize that you were a victim of PSYOP abuse, basically, right?
Yes.
You can put your finger on it now.
Yeah, I can see it all. I don't think it's as extreme as what some people have had to go through, but I think it explains the constant, seemingly coincidental abuse and like physically and verbally, emotionally, from everyone around me, except my family. It was always people close to me outside of my family, and it always seemed coincidental, but it was a repeating pattern. And yeah, till it got to the point where I was living in a little flat on my own, surrounded by psychopaths. And I was just ready to lay down and die. And I think that's what's been happening. Like, I couldn't put everything together. I saw all the things in my life happening as separate things, and thought, like I always had like I was saying to you, my memory was always really good. Nowadays, I go blank mid-sentence. Anyway, but I always had a good memory. I could recall word for word, just snippets out of whatever I needed, out of conversations that I'd had with people like years before, and things that I'd seen. I knew, like I could recall the place, the time, that I saw it, like anything. I could recall anything. So I always had a good memory, and really good observation skills, and those were the two qualities that were always ridiculed about me. People didn't want to know, and I realized when listening back to the last live stream that somehow that isn't the case with the memories. I didn't think I thought my memory was that good, that I wasn't capable of repressing anything. I thought I remembered everything, the good and the bad in my life, and
that's because you had compartmentalization, as we talked earlier today. You took the pain and you closed it out so that you could still function in life because it was so great. Yeah, and that's why once you can open the door, then you can remember the tragedy that occurred. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, I just didn't think I was capable of doing it. I didn't think my mind was capable of doing that. I thought I had the burden of of remembering everything. But wow. And the first, like, I'm trying to remember our conversation, because I don't want to veer off on too many.
Yeah, and you don't have to give details. You just be general. You don't have to be specific about things. It's just this is the story is played out a couple million times probably between Australia and America, and we could throw Europe in. Who's that? Fritz Springmeier. He did a classic presentation called The 13 Tribes, the 13 Families of the Illuminati, something like that, and the 13 Bloodlines of the Illuminati and Mind Control. And I used to play that over and over back 10 years ago, 15 years ago on my broadcast. And he said that there's, like he pointed out, there's this one castle in Europe, and I think it's true. I think that knowing how all the games all that they've done, this is not far-fetched at all. This is actually fits right in their psychology in how they do things, but that actually they kidnap a pregnant woman somewhere out there every day. They have a stream of pregnant women they've kidnapped. They bring them to this castle in France, and that every day they cut the baby out of the next woman that's in line, and then they take the blood of the baby and they use it and put it in the ink pen. And then they write in blood all the events that occurred on that day that was part of their agenda. So I can't prove that's true, but it fits. Knowing everything that the Vatican does, that they're these pedophiles and ritual sacrificers. You know, I've learned the story. I've heard the stories over and over. And when you hear something over and over, there's a bit of truth to it. And that the Freemasons, you know, that some people get in it just for business success, because they know it's a fellowship of a commercial type, because once you got the secret handshake, you can get the bank loan, you can, get the job or whatever you need. And so, but by the time some of them made it up to the 32nd degree, then all of a sudden, or the 30th degree, whichever, then they go to a secret ritual in a cave somewhere or in the backwoods, and then the next thing they found out that they were eating the flesh of a virgin. That they go kidnap some young virgin girl and kill her and then cook her on a spit, and then they all have dinner on her.
Yeah.
And that's when a number of them then go kill themselves. This happened to a guy that had a car dealership up in Canada, and I've heard the story with others. So they're not all, each compartment is not the same. Therefore, there's some that are far more deep into the voodoo, and there's others that are just more, not deep into it, and therefore they're not all eating the flesh of virgins. You see what I'm saying? But as a culture, that's what they are at the core. That's what they are at the core. Murderers, rapers of babies, and blood.
They're different.
They brag in Morals and Dogma, the book Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike. He says it in there plainly. We wage all revolutions. Okay, so that means they're responsible for all the wars and all the trouble, all the riots, all the games we saw during the protests, all the people getting beaten up, breaking glass and windows. Those are the Freemasons. That's the orchestration of the unseen hand. It's an engineered world. There's nothing real. There is no grassroots of anything. As a Plain Truth 2 pointed out before they bumped him, because he pointed out that all the music came from one particular source, a lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it from one valley. Even Jerry Brown, twice governor, Jesuit, he lived on Wonderland Lane right there in the valley, Wonderland Lane. Just go figure. It's all a fantasy world. Walt Disney. Walt means control. And so if Walt means control, listen to Disney. It's destiny. It's a spin on the word destiny. Walt Disney means the control of destiny, and they used the MK Ultra used Walt Disney and Walt Disney Productions of Cinderella and the White Rabbit and all of these other cartoons to keep the mind control victims under the spell and under the fantasy of their delusions that they put them under. It's just a sick world. We got to come to terms with it, and we've got to be set free from it, ladies and gentlemen. Ninja?
Yeah, I feel a lot better after coming to the realization, and remembering I'm sure there's going to be more that pop up into my head, and I'm going to see that as a good thing, because I was talking with Linda in the chat. Thank you, Linda. I was talking with Linda in the chat, and we both agreed we feel lighter after sharing and after remembering and getting it out. So
so here's a good example of Art remembered Peter Pan, so he saw that, and so the classic one is by who's the comedian who played the space alien on the TV sitcom? He's a genius. Come on, what's his? It's on the tip of my tongue.
More detail.
He died. They killed him. They killed him with all the other. Come on. Robin Williams. Thank you, Shelley. Robin Williams. Yeah. So okay. he did the classic. Yeah. He did the classic Peter Pan movie, and when I saw that, because I don't know if I ever saw Peter Pan before. If I did, I forgot. But when I saw Robin Williams about 10 years ago in Peter Pan, I saw it right there. There it was. And what is Peter Pan about? It's about how they steal our children.
Yes.
How they steal our children, and it's all about how to get them back. Because they robbed us.
Yes, and they put that story in they've put the Peter Pan story in a lot of things, actually.
But wait a minute.
Over and over.
Okay, but Peter Pan, now I'm looking at the word, and we know what a Peter is. Peter is slang for the male phallus.
I know what.
And Pan means the power. Pan is the fan. Yeah. And so it's the power of the male sexual organ. That's what Peter Pan means.
Pan isn't Pan also the goat? The goat?
Yeah, I think he plays the pan flute. I think the goat plays the pan flute. He may be called Pan, right? But it's the fan is the creation. It means the light. The Philpot is also represented as the swastika. There's all these metaphors that are built within it. You see? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so
Do
where
we
do
need
you
to
want to
vomit
go?
anymore? Is there anything else we want to vomit out of this world?
I don't know. I don't know if I want to. I don't know.
All right.
I wrote down some. I'll share a little bit since we brought it up, and it was such a it was a turning point for me. So, and thank you, Desert. Thank you. Just thank you. I just.
Thank you, Sheila. Okay. Thank you, Sheila.
Yeah, I did.
All right. Good deal.
Okay. Before I remembered these things tonight, I'd been saying for a while that something like from the age of 5, I remember from the age of 5 was when I remember asking questions that people didn't want to answer or didn't want to hear. Just the hard questions like, why are we here? Why are there bad people? All the hard questions. And nobody wanted to answer them. And from the age of 5, I've been looking for truth, and I felt like an outsider. So when I remembered these things, because I re-listened to the program, because earlier when it was live, I couldn't focus on it properly, and I missed a few things. So I was re-listening, and it really hit home. When I was 5, I had a operation done on my right eye. My eye was removed in the operation. From what I know, my eye was removed and put back in. When I was in the operating room, all I remember is being absolutely terrified and screaming and resisting a massive butterfly needle that was heading straight for me, and that's all I remember. And before that, I felt different. I just wanted to explore this world and thought it was a beautiful world and couldn't see any bad in the world. I just wanted to explore it. I loved it, and it seemed that something changed after that operation. That was when I started asking questions. That was when I started noticing that things weren't right. So yeah, that's what was brought back. Yeah, when I listened back, there's more stuff, but I don't want to get upset again. So
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, there's more stuff that got brought back regarding being groomed, and yeah, some pretty awful stuff. So
the Forbidden History live therapy has actually brought back the memory that was suppressed and very deep in you, and this you're creating light and getting close to Yeshua is all now bringing it to the surface, so you can have a closure with a very troubled past, right?
Yeah, and
let there be light.
Yeah, let there be light. I'm so grateful because, like I was saying before, like both Linda and I both felt lighter, and so I can see why everything needs to be brought to the surface. Like this was happening a little bit last year when I first started listening to your streams. When we were talking with Duck, when we had that live stream about the targeting.
Mhm.
It brought a lot of things up, but they were just little things, because there's so many things regarding, like, so many aspects of the targeting. So yeah, like Duck's story helped me remember some things that I'd forgotten, and yeah, it's all part of it. Like, it has to be brought up, and like, yeah, it has to be brought up. It has to. I can't think of the way to word it. Does it?
Yeah. Well, triggers. There's triggers that open it up.
We've got to get it out so that we can feel lighter. I'm thinking of how we say we're weighed down with emotional baggage. It's true. It's true. If we don't get it out, it stays inside us, and it eats us away. It keeps us
It's like a poison.
Yeah, so the suffering has a point. Talking about it has a point and a purpose. And what we're doing here on these streams is amazing. It's a transformation. Like we're all coming together at the perfect time to do this. So let there be light. Wow. Yeah.
Let there be Zorain. Yes.
Let there be Zorain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I do have some Aishavors that I wrote down. I'm just trying to find them. I don't know if you saw it in the chat, but I wrote something in the chat that I thought was pretty cool. But I don't know if it's correct. Does it?
Okay.
Okay, I'm just going to minimize the Skype window. That won't make me disappear, will it? Oh, no, hang on. I can do this. Are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. Okay, going back to your reading, where it says, "For dust you are, and to the dust you shall return." I saw that in the duality. I wrote it in the chat. For lava you are, and to lava you shall return. Yeah.
Right. You could say, well, right, because that is the correct analysis. It's not. We were not made from the dust, so therefore, from the fire, but the more correct term might be, you from the fiery magma you were made, and to the fiery magma where you shall go back. And then what do we see in Revelations? He says that all liars and beaters and cheaters go back to the lake that burns with fire and brimstone. That's a volcano. Fire and brimstone is sulfur. Brimstone is sulfur. It's a volcano. So he's saying you go back to the mixing pot that you came out of. But what was being cursed was not the spirit. It was matter.
Yeah.
It was the physical realm that was being cursed, because there's something beyond the physical realm in this lower matrix that is pure energy, pure power, and there's no need to go to sleep anymore, because it's pure. And that's called Yutha. That's what we find in the word Judah, which correctly we would convert to Yuda, but most correctly is Yutha, and perhaps the A is a consonant at the end, and it's called youth. Youth. How did you feel when you were 18 years old? You felt pretty strong, right? Like you could go 3 days without sleeping. Youth.
I used to go 3 days without sleeping.
I did too. I hitchhiked cross country. I didn't sleep for 3 days hitchhiking across country, I didn't want to miss anything, and I didn't want to fall asleep in a stranger's car, so I pretty
That's
well.
fair enough.
Yeah. Not all the time, but sometimes. So I have a record going coast to coast hitchhiking in 2.5 days. That's pretty fast moving, for hitchhiking. But I had a good thumb. My thumb was sharp. I could pull them over. And if I wasn't getting a ride, I pull out my scriptures, and boom, all of a sudden the car pulled over. That's one of the ways the Father was getting my attention. It's like, okay, let me pull out those scriptures again. Boom, there's my ride. Okay. So yeah.
That's so cool.
Even my buddy figured it out. He saw me doing it and he says, "Okay, Desert." Well, I didn't go by Desert at the time, but he says, "Hey, get your Bible out. We're in the middle of Arizona in the desert. It's burning up in the sun, in the middle of nowhere. And as soon as I pulled out my scriptures, boom, a car pulls over. Next one in line, come. So the Father, is it's His realm, and he really does have a sense of humor when we look at His greatness and we realize how things happen in profound ways in our world. The good things that come out of all the bad. The turnaround.
Laughter is part of the good stuff. So it makes sense that the Father would have a sense of humor.
Absolutely.
I just had to say that. Yeah. Please continue.
No, I'm through.
Oh. Desert. I wanted to hear more stories.
Well, I got to get back to my reading. We're here taking a phone call. We're live on the air with NinjaCat 111 down under. She's actually our feet are facing each other. She's going that way and I'm going this way. She's heads down and I'm heads up, I guess. I don't know, something like that. But all right, it's quite a world when we can connect instantly on the internet like this. It's amazing times we have while the world is going down in flames at the same time. So we're in a great tragic irony here. And so, okay, so that was great to see that, things are opening up for you. You're getting answers. Yeah. And that's what we all need. So anything else?
I don't think so. Another word if you want, or Aishavor word, another word.
Okay.
Yeah, one more.
Okay.
Okay, I was just seeing this before and I wrote it down before the stream. Celebration starts with celeb, and that made me think of celebrity. Celebration, celebrate, celebrity.
Right, so that would be like if we abbreviated that word and expanded it would be celebrity action. Celebration would be celebrity action. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Have you done that one before?
No, I was looking at it. You said it. Uh-huh.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Thank
you.
But
there's also the word calibration is in there. Celebration is a calibration because you do it every year. It goes around and you recalibrate to do it again. So there's different aspects of that in there like that. Uh-huh.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
The calendar, the cell. Oh. Remember, the C doesn't exist in nature. It's a K. Yeah. It's an H, and so it's a calibration, so it's on the calendar, and therefore it's reenacted each annual event. And see all around. That's how it works. Mm-hmm.
Wow. And they put you mark the dates of the regular celebrations each that come around each year on the calendar.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Okay.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah. And I just want to say that I love you guys in the chat as always. Yeah, and thank you guys for sharing your story. It's helping all of us. Just coming together like this. And thank you, Desert, for doing live streams, and YoEngineer. Thank you. Love you guys. Let there be light.
Well, if you weren't there, I wouldn't be here, Ninja. So there you go.
Ditto. Yeah.
Of course, the question is, if I weren't here, would you be there? Yeah? Think about that one.
It's a mind bender.
That's right. Yeah. So everything for a reason. When we see things on a higher level, nothing by accident. Everything is playing out in a great drama, and the wicked are serving their purpose. They actually have a job, and it is to be wicked. And in the end, then they're gonna suffer forever somehow, but they're not going back. They took blood oaths, and they're bound in chains forever down to this planet that they have destroyed. And so let them tough it out underground. I wouldn't want to be underground with a bunch of flesh-eating psychopaths. I know that because I'm sure I'd be on the dinner menu one day real soon, And so, you know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Okay.
agree.
So. Yeah.
Okay. I should probably let you get on with the live stream. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's a good idea. That's what else we got to do here? But you get on with the live stream. All right, Ninja. Great to have you call, and glad to hear you're able to laugh with a lot of pressure on you right now, and and we hope that you'll get support down there. Somebody will send you a donation so that you can pack your bags and leave, and you need some funny money to do that. So please consider Ninja. Okay.
I changed my PayPal thingy as well. Yeah, I changed it.
Is the thingy the email?
Yeah, I changed it. And
All right.
it's now it's not email anymore. It's now the HTTPS. Do you want me to just put it in the chat?
Yeah, just put it in the chat.
It's PayPal NinjaCat, but it's got like all the
all right.
internet-y stuff at the start of it, like a
right.
website address or whatever.
Yeah.
Link. That's the word I was looking for.
Okay.
Yeah, I changed it. So I don't know if it works if anyone wants to donate using my email. I don't know if that works anymore. Yeah, so
well,
anyway.
It should. They work standard to work off an email. So either way,
so
include
both ways.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay.
All right.
I wasn't sure.
You're right. And so there you go, ladies and gentlemen. And NinjaCat 111, check her channel out. And she brings us on. When do you bring us on, Ninja?
Every Monday and Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time US, which is every Monday and Friday, midnight Eastern Standard Time, Australia. Yeah.
Okay.
For the Forbidden History Chronicles with Dezert-Owl.
Very good, Ninja. Thank you so much. And,
Thank you.
All right. We'll talk in a bit. We'll see you on the chat.
Okay. Thank
Peace
you.
and love. Bye-bye.
Peace and love. See ya.
See you.
I'm trying to find the button to hang up. Hang on.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it.
All right. See ya.
Okay, I'm going to resume call here. On hold there. I'm not on hold.
You're
I'm
back.
Thank you very much. That was quick. We're getting this thing down, Shelley. Thank you. Okay, and so you know what? I think it's good to do another break. It doesn't have to be a long one, but if you got a song that you like, Shelley, then go ahead and play whatever you want. Okay, and I just need to give myself just 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever the song does, and we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, right here, Forbidden History Live. It's what they didn't want you to know, of course, that we tell right here, because somebody's got to do it, and I'm just a glutton for punishment. And that's right. We'll be right back.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the world. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the red garden, sprung in completeness where his feet pass. is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day. Morning has broken like the first morning, blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the world.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Forbidden History Live. What they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. And it is possible to know a thing. It is possible to have the great mystery unraveled, ladies and gentlemen. But you're not going to get it in school, and you're not going to get it from your preacher, and you're not going to get it from your politician. Okay, they kiss your babies, and they kiss you off, and then they end up eating your baby. That's what they like to do, and that includes our psychopathic world. Yeah. Okay. So we're at the last part of chapter 3 in Ganesha, in Genesis, abbreviation of Ganesha. And Ganesha means the garden of the royal eye. There's the word Asia. You saw Asia on the map all your life, but nobody ever told you what Asia means. It means the royal eye. Okay. And so it's the garden of the royal eye. This is a royal eye. When we look around at nature, don't we say, wow, right? Like I like to, when I take a break, I like to watch some of that drone footage where they go to Canyonlands National Park in Utah or somewhere out there, in nature, and like we sit back and we go, whoa, look at that. That's the royal eye. You see, the royal eye is what is coming at us, this creation that was made by the one who made all things in the great mystery. It's royal. It is beautiful, right? And so he has the royal eye. He's got the touch. He produced something that when we look at it, we go, whoa, can't get over it. It's beautiful. And so we've got to see things in the true light of things, ladies and gentlemen. And the light, it came forth. And then out of the light came everything else. It was the light that came first, the great symbol of the one who made all things, who makes all things, not who just made all things, but makes all things within nature. It's continual operation, ongoing, never ceases. Evolution is occurring right before us. We see it in nature. But man, he's got a pretty bad evolution going on. He's designing, he's creating, and he thinks he can create a supernatural creation that can somehow save his worthless hide, and you can't create nothing that's going to save your worthless hide, because what is made is what we have to be delivered from, and is the lower creation, and go back to the light where we fell from, the garden of the atoms. That's the Eden. You're looking at it right there. That's the Eden. It said in the east was the garden of Eden, and that's the east. The sun rises in the east because it is east and it is breast. Put the BR in front of it. The east is the breast. It is what we nurse off of every day. It is the breast of our mother. It is our mother's star, you see. And that's the garden of the atoms. And they continue to fall down, non-ending. He never sleeps. It say when he rose from the dead, he said all power was was given unto me in the earth and in the cosmos itself. All power. He has that power. That's him. That's his power. And all the other stars combined. What a mind blower. All power given unto him. He never sleeps. Constantly good to go. Ready to save you. Ready to enlighten you. Ready to to provide you sustenance on the table. What and as they all admit, 1 hour of sunshine, 1 hour of daylight on our planet could literally run everything for the next year on the planet if we would harness that free energy. But instead, they chose to give us petrochemicals and an industrial revolution of a fraud, a phony lower matrix, when we could have had free energy, clean energy, and fly through the sky without a sound. And instead, they decided to give us a phony industrial age and run on petrochemicals and carbon, and ultimately they destroyed our ozone layer. They destroyed our world with their phony creation, their great idea. Well, they enslaved us all and used our labor just like they're using those pilots today, those worthless pilots who are flying the air and spraying our skies continually. Of course, they're being told, they're doing it for benevolent reasons, right? All they're doing is they're keeping, they're perpetuating the disasters, and one thing they're doing is they're trying to keep us cold. They showed a cold front. I saw it on the channel today, the Weather Channel, and they said, there's a cold front, front in the south, and it goes up right through Alabama, right up to the East Coast. That's not a cold front. A cold front comes down from the north and encroaches across the border of Canada and into the southern region. But this cold front is coming up from Alabama. Can you imagine a cold front coming up from Alabama, going all the way to New York? You can see it clearly. What it means is it's the moisture that they're bringing up from the Mexico, the Gulf of Mexico, and the Pacific Ocean, and bringing it right up the eastern coast, and they're ice nucleating it, and they're calling it a cold front. While all that heat is on the other side, further north of it. How could there be heat further north, right? And you have a cold front further south. Give me a break. It blew me away when I saw that this morning. You might see that if you go look at the Weather Channel. You might be able to catch that. Okay, the grand illusion. The people can't process anymore. They buy whatever they're being sold. Don't give me the truth, please. Just give me the fiction. I can't handle the truth. And I love the sensationalism of the fiction. It's so much more cool, man. Yeah. Okay, so we're in the end of Ganesha here. We're gonna get through this. Okay, then we may just do one more segment on symbolism, and then we'll probably wrap it up for today. Okay, and want to welcome any new listeners on the stream. Glad to have all of you toughing it out with us. We tough it out right here, almost 7 days a week. I think we're doing 6 days a week right now. And so we just take one day off. And if we got a caller-generated program and people started calling in, I might get excited and do 7 days a week because we got nothing else to do, ladies and gentlemen. They took it all from us. Okay, so in verse 20, the Eshan, or the creation, or Adam, see how they changed the words. It probably was the word Adam. And so the question is, what does Adam mean? And it means the creation. And therefore, but they gave us man, because man is moon. And that's Lucifer. It's the opposite end of the light spectrum. The moon is the dead star the Luciferians serve. So that's why they call us man, meaning no light in us, meaning criminal and sinner, meaning piece of garbage. That's what it is in the Babylonian Talmud. So the Eshan then gave to his Vephe the name of Keva. Not Eve, but Keva. There's the abbreviation, okay? And there's a footnote here. Yeah, there it is. See, Fenton got it on the footnote. Kava, K-H-A-V-A-H, Kava, okay? Eve in the original. Way to go, Fenton. E-V-E is K-H-A-V-A-H. There you go, Kava. And so when she represents the golden light, what do you see there? Do you not see coffee? Kava. You want some kave? Right? They turned it into darkness, the light into darkness. and that's how they do it. It's called the black sun, because the occult eclipsed the sun, and they want to give us their Luciferian moon, and that's how they do it. Okay, so let's continue here. It's getting interesting because, okay, so the Ashon, the creation, Adam, then gave his wife the name of Keva, because she was the mother of all life, the mother of all life, and she came last. She's on the scene last, but she represents that which is first, the virgin light. So Mary becomes the next symbol of what Keva, Eve, was supposed to represent, Mariam. Mariam, and the word Mariam, you have the yam, and the yam is the root. Okay, the root. She's the root. Mare, mother's ray, mother's light. You see, Mariam, the mother's ray of light from the root is what it implies as well. All of these aspects are in there. This is how you read, ladies and gentlemen. Did you ever read these Eshavors before? Did you ever get the definition of Mariam? They abbreviated it. It was Mariam, but then Mariam, but then they shortened it to Mary, so you wouldn't get the picture, you know. And none of these Eshavors mean anything to anybody anymore. They just read it like it's doesn't mean anything. Just like Michael, you know, the word Michael means the one who is like Yah. The one who is like, who's Yah? Yah is the great Elohim, who is Yahweh. They are one, okay? The great light, the logo, okay? This great spirit. The logo is only hiding the spirit. The spirit is behind that light. The spirit is infinite. The sun has a temporary use. It's a creation. And that which has a beginning has an end. It's being used. The woman is being used. The virgin light is being used, you see. Okay, so continuing. So the mother of all living, she's the mother of all living. And for Adam, the creation also, and his wife, the Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, made clothing of skins dressed for them. And this is the skin that Esau ultimately got, which was belonged to Adam after he killed Nimrod. And when you read the book of Jasher, you find all this out. It's another great secret. And then he names his land after Adam, because he sold his birthright and he left the promised land on the other side of the Jordan in what's called Petra today. That was called Adam. Okay, not Edom. That's the corruption. Just like Eden is Atom, so is Edom is Adam. Okay, it's like a real tongue twister there. Okay, and they done all switch out. Do you want people changing your words? Do you want people to change the picture? So you're totally lost? How would you like somebody changing all the words on your roadmap? Do you think you're going to find your way back home if somebody changed all the place names, right? I don't think so. That's what they did, okay? So the great Elohim, Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, also breathed. Now the Ashon is like one of ourselves, knowing both sun and moon, the nature both of sun and moon. What do you mean? The nature of light and darkness. Light and dark. Now they know what it feels like to be on the downside, you see? Because they were light beings. They were light creations. He was the bright one. He's the one where they created this false narrative of Lucifer, the bright and shining one, because it was Adam who was the bright and shining one who came down, who had named all things. And therefore, that's why he could even name his wife the Ashaphe, and said, you are the mother of all living. He knew who she represented, the female aspect of creation. He learned that from Yeshua. He breathed it into his nostrils. The Nazare, the original word for those who separate themselves, the Nazare, who continue the line of truth from what was breathed into them. Okay? Now, the Asians, like ourselves, acquainted with both sun and moon, light and darkness. Therefore, it may be that he will stretch out his hand and take as well. Now, you see, this is another corruption by the priesthood, because it's not written correctly. Because the way it should read would be like, now, so that he may be able to reach out his hand and to take also from the tree of life and live and eat from it forever. Then the now he must. I mean, and it's the implication is that he must now reach out his hand to take from the tree of life. You see, he has to. And this is where it's corrupted by the priesthood. I've got the transliteration of all of this, in several works, and I just have to pull it all together. But this is where, because it sounds like they didn't want him. They didn't want him to eat the way it's written, to eat from the tree of life, and that's not true. Obviously, we know that the Great Spirit has been communicating with us all along. He wants us to eat from the tree of life, right? That's the problem, because we're in death in this world, and we have to be second born and eat from the tree of life. It starts with the tree of knowledge. Okay, the tree of knowledge leads us to the tree of life. It's one tree, but you can't go there ignorantly. You have to have knowledge in order to be set free. The knowledge of who you are, where you are, when you are, and why you are, and who he is, and where he is, and when he is, and why he is. And he is everywhere, and he's all things, okay, in the great mystery. And so the Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, consequently expelled him from the garden of the atom, meaning he lost that oneness, that connection. That's why he was in fear. That's why he covered himself. That's why his conscience was bothering him. You see, and it's a pure conscience, as it says in, what is it, James? That it's not the putting, or Paul said it. It's not the putting away of the filth of the flesh that saves us. It's the answer of a pure conscience, before the Great Spirit. That's what sets us free, knowing that we are doing all things that are pleasing for the great Father of light, right? How can you stand before him knowing you're doing wrong things? You're lying, you're cheating, you're stealing, you're beating, whatever. You can't stand before the Spirit that way. You can't have the Spirit that way. That's not the Spirit. The Spirit is free from darkness, as it says in 1 John. In him is light, and in him is no darkness at all. If we say that we embrace the light and do things that are of the darkness, we are liars, and the truth is not in us. Okay? The truth is not a part of any lie. Okay? Notice the distinction. It's either over there on the right or it's on the left. The thing is, within Yeshua, we find ourselves in the gray zone. That's what's so beautiful. Because while we're in the gray zone, trying to figure out this soul novation, he says that he works with us to bring us up, to rise us from this death. He's our tree of knowledge, and so that's why taking the sacrament, the bread, the matzah, the bread, and then also the wine, is a covenant relationship, and the wine continually washes us pure, keeping our robes pure while we're putting on that perfection of light, because it is a process that we go through in attempting to separate from this world. See, for some people, maybe it happens instantly, but for others, they may have to go through 40 years in the wilderness, because look at what they've done. Look at the scam they have scammed us with, And so, Linda, you've got a statement there. The email had triggers. I sent a second and third. Feel free to send them to Ninja if you think it may help with triggers if she wants. I have no problem sharing now. Okay. Thank you, Linda. Okay. And this channel unzips the truth, allowing freedom of spirit and memory. I see miracles before us. Well, absolutely. Thank you, Linda, for that. Okay. And so let's finish up here. We're almost at the end. And so therefore it will be that he'll stretch out his hand and also take from the tree of life and eat from it and live forever. That's what he needs to do. The light is shining. The light is telling us every day, there I am, the logo. That's me. That's Yeshua. I am the great light. In him is no darkness. Everything's projecting out. It's pointing the way back. We fell from the light. We have to go back to the light. Okay? And so the Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, consequently expelled him from the garden of the atom in order to cultivate the ground from which he was taken. And cultivating the ground is cultivating his earth. It is a metaphor again, okay? So he drove out the Ashan, and he stationed him at the below the garden. It says at the east of the garden, but it means below the higher garden. It's the lower. We're in the lower garden. Again, how the translations are not perfect. Below the Eden, below the atom, we are below the sun. We're below the atom. The light is the primordial garden we fell from. We're in a lower garden. You can look up. You can see both gardens, ladies and gentlemen. They're both in front of us. And you have a choice, the light or the darkness of this world. And so the divine watchers, so let me try that again. I turned the page. So he drove out the Aishon, and he stationed at the end of the garden of the atom, below the garden, the divine watchers. Interesting terminology by Fenton. And I have here the eye of enlightenment, with the flaming sword, to guard the path of the tree of lives. And it's the sun that is pointing in every direction. The flaming sword, that's the flaming sword. That's the sun, you see? And there you see the word word. The word word in the beginning is the word, not was the word, is the word. And put an S in front of it, you get the sword. And then in the Greek, you get the logo. What's a logo but a symbol? That's the sun, okay? And it's the path to the tree of living, the tree of light, back. They'll follow the trail back to the light, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we have to do, okay? And so I think we're at the end here. I'm pretty well, I think, I've covered enough ground for us today. We've been on almost 3 hours, actually. So if there's anybody else that wants to call in, this will be the time to call in. You can either call in on my cell phone, 608-566-7295. That's 608-566-7295. Or you can call in on Skype, Forbidden History Live. And we'd love to hear from you if you're wanting to do that, okay? And don't forget, later on today, we've got Dane Wigington. You need to check out, if you have not checked out Dane Wigington, go there, ladies and gentlemen, today and realize how much in trouble we really are, okay? It's game over for planet Earth. It is game over, okay? There's no saving the ozone layer. It would take 20 million years to repair the ozone layer, and the Earth is going to crash into a cosmic catastrophe. And the truth is, it may never be able to recover. May never. With all the methane gas and everything else going on, it may be over permanently for this solar system, for this living planet. They destroyed the ancient, for all their head knowledge, for as smart as these people were, they were so smart. And yet their own ego and their own head knowledge is what ultimately has killed them, has destroyed our world. Can you believe that? I don't believe anything, but I'm using the cliche. And so so we're really in trouble, and I'm just our days are more numbered than we could ever imagine, ladies and gentlemen. Better start getting preparation for the catastrophe, for the mass starvation. All that's about to happen. Think of worst case scenario. Number 1 is water. Number 2 is fire. Okay. And number 3 is food. And the knowledge of food. Get books on living off the land. There's food out there while our world is burning up. Cattails are a food source everywhere. You can eat the roots. The roots are starchy like potatoes. You can smash them and make bread out of it. Or you can dry it. You dry it out and smash it and dry it out and then make bread out of it. Or you can bake it like a potato. Or you can pick the young tender stalks of the cattail and it tastes like cucumber. I used to live off it when I was going over the road all over America. The pollen on the cattail, you can pull it, the golden pollen in the springtime, you can pull it into a bucket and make pancakes out of it. I used to mix it half with flour and make buckwheat pancakes. You don't have to, there's no reason to starve. There's food everywhere if you know what to eat, ladies and gentlemen. You've got to get on page now with your survival program. It's already here, okay? The end is here. And I wish it weren't true. I can't get over it. I'm we're really talking about this stuff. It's just so surreal. It is so surreal, and I am so sick of it. I'm sick of this world. We just finished the 3-part series. Well, it's not 3 parts, but it's the first 3 chapters, captors of Ganesha, which is Genesis in the corrupt form, and we're going to have these posted on. For our Fenton Bible Daily Read, for our Fenton Bible daily read, and that's where I'll start doing I want to do a chapter a day there, and I want to, because I read Fenton last year from cover to cover, and I've got all my notes, and I can reveal much of the corruption of what the Jewish priesthood did to us, the Maitzars, out of Switzerland, the Maitzaretic text, okay, that's Egypt, what they did to our old covenant, the tricks they played on us, the deceptions. We have to see the lies. We have to know that we've been lied to. We have to know that we've been played a game on, and then we can begin to unravel the mystery. Once you know that was the key for me 40 years ago when I figured out, Yeshua revealed it to me that we were being lied to, and I looked it up in Strong's Concordance, and I looked up Adam and Eve. That's where it started, with Adam and Eve. And there it was. I found out in the Strong's the other half of their names were. And the same with Lot. It's when you look it up in Strong's, it's Lotan. It's not Lot. Why are they abbreviating these words? You see? So the evidence that why would they want to, when they hate Yeshua, why would they want to give us the truth? Go figure, right? And so know that there's a lot of work to be done, ladies and gentlemen. And the only way we're gonna get it right is by, tuning into the Forbidden History. Okay, that's one way. Otherwise, you're gonna have to start buying some dictionaries, get some lexicons, concordances, and you got to go back to Indo-Germanic in order to bypass the Greek and the Hebrew, which is controlled by the priesthood. Controlled by the priesthood. Controlled by the priesthood. Okay, the Indo-Germanic is free flowing. We're actually speaking it today, as Waddell said in the 1800s in two of his classic dictionaries, an expose on the Sumerian text. He says that in our modern English today, we're speaking 70% Sumerian, which is Aryan, which is Aramaic, which is the Indo-Germanic mother tongue. It's not Anunnaki. It didn't come down from Nibiru, and all this nonsense. Who wants the gold but the rulers of our world? They want the gold. They went and harvested the gold from South Africa, and look at all the gold that was in Maitzar, right? Where do you think the gold went? It went into Maitzar, went into India, went to all the different temples around the world, So don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know the future, then you simply need to tune in and listen for the Forbidden History, because it's all right here, coming your way 7 days a week on the RealPublicRadio.net, Free America Radio Network, on YouTube.com as Forbidden History Live, and NinjaCat 111 as the Forbidden History Chronicles, and the old archive at the Forbidden History Series, 4 words, the Forbidden History Series. It's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Dezert-Owl, signing off. And look for us tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern Time, Sunday, okay, where we play it again for all of you. Glad you stopped by. Do tell a friend, won't you? After all, you wanted to know, of course.
Starry, 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 starry night. Paint your palette blue and gray. Look out on a summer's day with eyes that know the darkness in my soul. Shadows on the hills, sketch the trees and the daffodils. Catch the breeze and the winter chills in colors on the snowy linen land. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now. Starry, starry night, flaming flowers that brightly blaze, swirling clouds in violet haze, reflect in Vincent's eyes of china blue, colors changing hue. Morning fields of amber grain, weathered faces lined in pain, are soothed beneath the artist's loving hand. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now, for they could not love you. But still your love was true. And when no hope was left inside on that starry, starry night, you took your life as lovers often do. But I could have told you, Vincent, this world was never meant for one as beautiful as you. Starry, starry night, portraits hung in empty halls, frameless heads on nameless walls, with eyes that watch the world and can't forget, like the strangers that you've met, the ragged men in ragged clothes, a silver thorn, a bloody rose, lie crushed and broken on the virgin snow. Now I think I know what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they're not listening still. Perhaps they never